Well, thanks, Madam Chair, and thanks for having this roundtable today. This is really important. And I also want to thank our witnesses that are with us today for what you're bringing to us. And then, you see the shot clock behind you and behind me, and our time's limited. Yes, I have so many questions. But I represent, in the last Congress, the district that had the largest farm income producing district in the state of Ohio. I also had over 80,000 manufacturing jobs. And so when it came down to one thing I always said, I need energy, lots of it. And if I could just briefly ask a couple questions for all of you, I hope. Let's talk about EVs, because I know that with our folks in the industry, in the business community out there, they're looking at, okay, if they're in the truck stop business, how are they going to look to the future? And they're looking at EVs. But, when you've looked at EVs, the questions we always ask is, okay, who's going to pay for the charging stations? How are you going to get the power to that charging station? How are you going to get the power generated to get it there? How are you going to get the transmission lines? Has that all been discussed as you've been thinking about that in the future? And especially the government entities that are telling you, oh, yeah, you need to go on the EV side?
I think the best answer for that, thank you for the question, that's really important, is we'll make it up as we go. Because here's what's happened with us. I am a life example of how this thing rolled out. I've got a location. I've got 7 locations in total. One of them, we put in 4 EV chargers. We joined the wave of people getting into the EV market. It happens to be down on Interstate 80 in Nevada, halfway between Salt Lake and Reno, Battle Mountain, Nevada. 4 charging units, took my complete truck stop, 24-hour truck stop, casino, restaurant, and motel completely down while they put the power back in for 4 charging units. So those 4 charging units, if assumed that they all worked at the same time, take more power than my entire complex. Now, I serve about 2,000 people a day per location, rough average, day in, day out. We're open 24/7 most of the time. And what we found is that those 4 charging units probably get utilized 1 or 2, maybe every other week. I've never seen more than 3 parked at the charging units, and I've never seen 4. One of the critical factors that you may or may not be aware of, and this is just me knocking on my friends' doors who have EV charging units, is that if they break down, God help you. You may or may not ever get it fixed. 6 months is a normal wait time. I had a colleague at a board that I belong to in Iowa, and she left from Chicago to drive to Decorah, Iowa, to the Norwegian Immigration Museum. She had a roadmap all set, exactly where she was going to pull in for EV charging. Not one stop, not one, had all of the units working, and most of the cases, only half of them were working, and she had to skip that one and go on to the next one. Range anxiety puzzles me to no end. Range anxiety in Montana, in eastern Washington, in West Texas. Range anxiety. You take I think it's pronounced Riven pickup. Those things can go 280 to 300 miles on a normal charge. You haul a trailer, you put a load in the back of it, and that goes down to 80 miles. Now, where's the payload in 80 miles? You can't go very far. You got to go back and charge or find a charging unit, to be quite frank with you. So EV is out there. We understand, it's not my statistic, that about 80% of homeowners who have electric vehicles charge them on their 110 at night where they have plenty of time to roll, okay? My charging units in Battle Mountain are 20-minute high-speed chargers, get you up to 80% within 20 minutes. Okay, I serve 2,000 customers a day. It doesn't take a lot of math skill to understand that I'm backing up cars way beyond my capacity if they all came to my location and plugged in. And yes, they are charged for that. Most EV charging patrons think it's free. Can you imagine that? Free to plug in and charge. Now, yes, I get them for 20 minutes. They might come in and buy lunch, dinner, quick snack on the road. 3 things, powerful for any vehicle. Any of you do the same exact thing. If you're on a road trip, you're going to stop 3 times a day to use the restroom. You're going to stop twice to get a snack or something to eat, but only once to fuel. So you're going to progress that all out. So EV charging tends to be a bottleneck in any way, shape, or form that you look at it. Thanks for the question.
Thank you. And if I could just follow up, just finish real quick, if I may, Madam Chair. Just real quick, you know, what you brought up about the cost and people getting to work, that's another problem we have. You know, and you're saying you got 300 folks right now, you need 400. I hear this all the time. Where are you going to get the people? But, you know, I had somebody come up to me not long ago in my district that told me that their monthly budget was $100 a month. It's now $160 a month for their natural gas. And they said, well, what are we going to do to make that up, or we're just going to have to cut back on something else? And on the ag side, we've got the disaster. You mentioned the cost of how much it costs per gallon. But, you know, when I talk to our guys and they're just with their combines and how many gallons does your combine hold?
Oh, it will hold about 200 gallons.
Yeah, and so then multiply that out. That gets expensive. And then our small people in the energy production. So I appreciate you all being here. Thank you very much, Madam Chair,
Thank you.
for today's hearing.